Welcome back, 8th graders. Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're taking on a pretty special role. You aren't just math students right now. You're actually stepping into the shoes of a truth detective. You see, in math, in data analysis, and honestly just in life, things are not always what they seem on the surface. We really have to learn how to look beyond mere appearances to figure out what's actually going on. So, consider this question for a second. Does eating ice cream cause shark attacks? Now, I know you're probably rolling your eyes, but if we look at the raw data, we see a very real statistical pattern. When ice cream sales go up, shark attacks also rise. And when ice cream sales drop, shark attacks drop right along with them. They literally move together perfectly. As truth detectives, I really want you to critically evaluate this. Are ice cream cones secretly acting as shark bait? Do great whites just, really crave vanilla? Or is there a deeper truth hidden in the data? Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at 1. Appearances can be deceiving. 2. Association versus causation. 3. Testing the evidence. 4. Applying your knowledge. 5. Biblical morality and wisdom. And finally, 6. Education rooted in morality. Let's get to it.
Section 1. Appearances can be deceiving.
In data analysis, just because two things happen at the exact same time absolutely does not mean that one is causing the other. And it's actually incredible how perfectly this biblical principle applies to our math lesson today. John 7:24 says, "Stop judging by mere appearances, but instead judge correctly." This is your primary mandate as a truth detective. When you look at a scatter plot and see a bunch of dots forming a nice, neat little line, it's so easy to just jump to conclusions, right? It's easy to look at the mere appearance of a pattern and think, boom, I have the whole story. But evaluating claims wisely, that means looking deeper.
Section 2. Association versus causation.
Understanding the difference between these two mathematical concepts is the big central idea of today's lesson, and it is absolutely going to sharpen your reasoning skills. First up, let's define association. It's a relationship where, say, when your x variable goes up, your y variable goes up too, or maybe it just shows some sort of clear pattern. But here is the critical part, so pay attention. X does not necessarily cause Y. It could just be a total coincidence, or both variables could be reacting to some totally unseen third factor. Association just tells us that a relationship exists, and nothing more. Causation, on the other hand, is when one thing directly makes something else happen. It's the whole cause and effect thing. The crucial point here is that proving causation requires a really high bar of evidence. You can't just point to a pattern on a graph and say, look. To actually prove causation, you typically need a controlled experiment where you eliminate all other possible variables. You have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that action A literally forces result B to happen. And that brilliantly resolves our earlier paradox. On one side, we've got our ice cream sales and our shark attacks. That is just an association. They move together, sure, but they definitely don't cause each other. On the flip side, we reveal the real cause, the summer months. Think about it. When it's summer, the weather is hot. What do people do when it's hot? They buy more ice cream. What else do they do? Well, more people go swimming at the beach, which means a higher mathematical probability of shark attacks. The summer heat causes both. Ice cream and sharks are literally just along for the ride. Section 3. Testing the evidence. All right, it's time to put your detective skills to the test. Let's see how this builds. We're going to look at 3 pieces of evidence, and you need to figure out if we're looking at association or causation. Here's scenario 1. We observe that whenever there is a massive, destructive fire, there is a very high number of fire trucks present at the scene. When there's a small fire, there are only 1 or 2 trucks. So more fire trucks equal a bigger fire. But hold on a second. Do fire trucks cause fires? Of course not. If we judge by mere appearances, we might think, hey, we should ban fire trucks to prevent forest fires. But that's obviously ridiculous. This is strictly a correlation. The size of the fire is what actually dictates how many trucks are dispatched to the scene. Let's look at the next piece of evidence. Data shows that students who spend more hours in tutoring tend to get better grades on their tests. The x variable is tutoring hours, the y variable is test scores, and both are clearly going up. Now, unlike our fire trucks, this right here is an example of potential causation. If we ensure all other variables are controlled, meaning the students are getting the same amount of sleep, eating well, and taking the exact same test, spending time learning the material can directly cause the student to understand it better. And that directly forces the positive outcome of better grades. The action directly yields the result. And finally, let's look at our last scenario. We've collected some data and noticed a strong pattern.
People who wear glasses tend to read a lot more books than people who don't.
So let's break down this mistaken causation. Does reading cause you to have bad vision? No. And do glasses magically compel you to read books? Absolutely not. Slapping some glasses on a non-reader won't suddenly turn them into a bookworm, though, let's be honest, that would make studying a whole lot easier. It is simply a correlation. Perhaps people who naturally enjoy reading are just more likely to notice when their vision needs correction, or maybe it's just a totally coincidental pattern in our specific data set. Remember, correlation does not equal causation.
Section 4. Applying your knowledge.
Fantastic work, detectives. You have totally mastered these concepts. Now it's time to take these analytical skills directly into your homework assignments. Let's walk through your 5 homework questions really quick. Question 1 asks about serial and test scores. I want you to think back to our ice cream example to explain why or why not. Number 2, is the statement more screen time equals less sleep causation or correlation? For number 3, give me your own original example of a correct causal relationship. Then, for number 4, write about a mistaken cause and effect relationship you've heard out in the real world. And finally, number 5, why is it absolutely crucial to know the difference? I really want you to evaluate these claims wisely and explain your reasoning. Section 5, Biblical Morality and Wisdom. You know, analyzing data beautifully connects to seeking God's truth. As we've learned today, scatter plots may show us patterns, but we absolutely must dig deeper to understand their true meaning. The exact same thing applies to our spiritual lives. We have to seek God's wisdom rather than just relying on worldly assumptions. The world will present you with patterns all the time and tell you, hey, this is just how things are. But as truth detectives, you must look past those initial appearances. Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. When you look at a tricky math problem, or honestly, when you face a complicated situation in your daily life, it is so tempting to lean entirely on your own quick assumptions. But instead, pause and pray before jumping to conclusions. Let God guide your thinking in math, and much more importantly, in life.
Section 6. Education rooted in morality.
This leads us to the core philosophy behind the HeroesmartAcademy Godly Learner series, and it's vital we understand why this spiritual grounding is so essential to your education. We intertwine biblical morality with your education, because frankly, education without morality is going to hurt you. It's a logical progression. If you have an education without a moral compass, it inevitably leads to making bad choices, and bad choices end in hurt. You really have to ask yourself, what is the point of being smart and supposedly highly educated if you just continue to make bad choices that hurt yourself and the people around you? True intelligence is pairing your education with a strong moral foundation. Romans 8:6-7 promises peace of mind to everyone who keeps their mind spiritual. Intertwining biblical morality with your learning isn't just about following rules. It's about experiencing true, lasting peace. This is exactly what the creators of this curriculum experience, and it's absolutely what we want for you. When your mind is focused on God's truth, you can navigate both complex math problems and complex life challenges with total clarity and peace. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Now that you know the difference between mere association and true causation, will you look beyond the surface? Will you commit to seeking the true cause in your data? And more importantly, will you seek God's wisdom in your life today? Don't settle for the superficial patterns. Keep digging for the truth. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you next time.